What's good, everybody? Welcome back to the Cloud Slayer channel. Hope you guys are doing well. Uh, man, just working out and stuff like that. Had a great day, great Saturday. I can't remember what date it was. January 24th, maybe 25th, 2024. Might be the 25th. I can't remember. Didn't really pay much attention to the date. It's weird. Usually, I know what day it is because of work. You know what I mean? And when I'm not at work, I don't really care about those kind of things, unless if, of course, you made like some kind of plans or something. You know, like wanting to go like camping or something like that. You know, and I'm coming up with some plans with a couple buddies. Shout out to Matt. Shout out to Eli. Possibly Kyle's going too. Don't know. We'll find out sooner to the date, but we're gonna go back to the Lake 21 and camp out with Bigfoot this time. Possibly. We did have a couple moments that it's kind of weird because we had that moment where I highlighted at the end. I re-showed it where you hear a big splash and Eli get, kind of shrieks, and ain't gonna lie, it was scary for everybody, you know what I mean, and stuff like that. But we were listening back to like Maddie's audio, and it's like there was a splash before we got there. And I remember did pause, and I was like, "There's a splash over there," and you can almost feel that it was gonna happen again when we got close and splash again. It was just weird because there wasn't. It was like somebody threw something into there, and stuff like that. And when we listened back to Matt's audio, it wasn't anything that submerged first, then went back in, like a fish jumping or something, or like a beaver or some crap like that. So it wasn't very explainable to us. And on the way back, Matt said something too. Like I felt something. Felt like something was behind us to the right, and I didn't say nothing, but I could feel it too. And I remember Matt making a comment saying, "You feel that, Trav?" And he pretty much said in that direction too, So he was like back towards that way, and I was like, "Yeah." So I knew that it wasn't just me, because sometimes you sense things and you don't say nothing. You kind of wait for somebody else to say something. You know what I mean? Well, that's how I am. Because sometimes I'm like, it's just me and my senses, feeling heightened or are heightened because you're anticipating something, or, you kind of create something in your mind for something to happen. And sometimes it might be nothing at all, but, sometimes there could be. So, and just because you feel it doesn't mean that everybody feels it, doesn't mean that something might happen. I mean, shoot, it could happen when you least expect it, and that's usually when it happens, right? And stuff like that. So maybe because you're focusing on that thing, you forget to pay attention to the surroundings around you. And that's why I was like, I try not to feed into it too much, because sometimes you might miss something else and stuff like that. And I was talking to some peeps that I was telling about looking for Bigfoot, or talk about UFOs, because that's a common thing everybody talks about. But even though there being nobody really believing in it as much, you know what I mean? But everybody has an opinion about it. There's somebody, everybody either believes or don't believe, I suppose, or they're in between, in betwixt. I don't like the left or right Twix, but I'm in betwixt. But, so they were like, "Why are all these videos crappy?" And then I was like, I'm going to use an example here, because there was like a weird object flying around late at night when I get home from work, 2 o'clock in the morning, and stuff like that is just making rounds, like it's almost surveilling in a way. And I don't know if it is, or if like test flights or something. Don't know who's doing that late in Bemidji, Minnesota. You know what I mean? Not that late, but it does have like a little red light, so it leads me to believe that it's some people that either have the okay to fly something, or You know, it's an amateur person that's recording stuff. Who knows? I don't know. I can only speculate. I don't think it's UFO, obviously, but I showed him. I was like, all right, this is a little object here, and to my naked eye, it's close. But here, on my phone, as I record it, it's so far away, and I can barely pick anything up. It's fuzzy and stuff like that. And I'm like, that's going to be the same object thing if you see these crappy videos or whatever. Like, you're not going to have like a $10,000 camera that can pick up supersonic speeds or some shit like that on you every day. And if you so happen to capture something on a video, it's going to be blurry as fudge. You know, it's going to be really blurry. Nobody's going to believe you, obviously. I mean, why would they? You know, it's blurry. It's blurry. That's the counter argument most of the time. And you know, when people fake images too, that's what they're kind of reliant on too. So it sucks when people fake those things and stuff like that. So, I mean, I point to a lot of older Native guys they'd pass on stories about Bigfoot and stuff like that, and I've heard a lot of people share experiences with that and stuff like that. And I don't know, it's, you know, I believe in it, but myself, I've never seen them or anything like that. But, you know, doesn't mean that one day you might not. So, because I share I voice my opinion on UFOs because of my experience, and had a buddy on, Philip Barton, share his UFO stories. And this guy, you know, not a story, you know, it's experience, right? And, you know, there's always something. My dad had some when he was a kid. A few uncles said they had seen some stuff. And back then, they lived in the cities then too. So I won't say back then, because I guess it's not that long ago, you know. It don't seem like it. It's a long time ago if you're young and stuff like that. So, and for me, it's a long time ago. To them, it was like yesterday, you know. That's how they say it. And a lot of times their stories, they might change, you know, but those stories never change for them, you know. And it's like, that's kind of odd, you know, that out of all this stories that they share with you of life experiences, that's one of the few stories that actually kind of stay consistent in their lives and how they share it. And, you know, like they light up and they're like, fucking this, you know, and then you're like, goddamn, you know, as they go and express some of the feelings that they had during those moments, it at times makes your hair stand up. And for me, like, I'll listen to other people, and, you know, sometimes you think you can call BS and like, okay, well, this guy doesn't make my, the hairs stand up on the back of my neck sometimes, but it's like, they're talking through a video, you know, like sometimes the videos take away from that experience and stuff like that, you know. And I notice when when I have my interviews and I talk to people, like I'm way different, right? Because I'm not trying to take away from it. I'm not trying to, you know, I don't know, seem far-fetched, I guess, or something like that. I try to have them talk and express that as much as I can, or as they can, and stuff like that. And I feel like, you know, I don't do the best job. So, like, you know, like I just say, oh, that sucks or something. But it's like, I'm trying to say as little as possible, you know what I mean? And stuff like that. So that it's explained best by that person that said that, you know. So, and you know, it's always easier said than done, because when you're there in the moment, it's like, I don't know what to do. It's like so many things in your mind at one time and stuff like that. It gets all over the place for me, you know what I mean? And I can imagine anybody else as well. But, you know, sometimes that's just the things you have to go through to calm yourself going on down the road, you know, especially if you're going to make like content and stuff like that. If you're going to film yourself, if you're going to talk, if you're going to do these things, right? You got to get kind of comfortable with that kind of stuff. And it's you got to critique yourself fairly and honestly in order for you to get better. And if somebody calls you out on it, that's like it's a criticism for what do they call that? Not a respective criticism, but yeah, maybe that's what it is, right? Respective criticism, and if it's not like a personal attack on you, like, hey man, you just look stupid. You sound like a dipshit or something that gets kind of like that, where it's more so like, hey man, like, maybe you can work on doing this, X, Y, or Z, and then you're like, okay, I did notice that too. Like, that's what bugs me as well, and that's something I do got to work on. And sometimes, like, you might be aware of it, but you don't know. You just like, it bugs me, but it's it's not that bad or something, or nobody notices, but you don't really notice until somebody says something. So that's like, yeah, man, I do got to work on that, but it's easy to miss stuff too about your own self, and but because change is never easy, no matter what you do in life and stuff like that. Whether you gotta change your workout plan, you gotta change your diet plan to better equipped for how you are at that time in life. You can start like a diet and you have a certain amount of calories, but you gotta constantly change things. You might have to cut things out if you're feeling a certain way. There's so many different factors to those things. And it's not easy. A lot of times you might have to go to somebody and figure that out, because sometimes you only know how to get to one point, but not you don't know how to take the next step, or you're afraid to fail on the next step. So, and then you forget to ask because you're like, oh man, I'll seem like a wuss, or something like that. Or you're stubborn and you just want to figure it out yourself, and you just got too much pride to ask somebody, and it's tough. It's tough, but you just ask that question, Like they say, there's no stupid questions. It might seem like a stupid question to somebody else, but if you don't know, you don't know. It's like some days you got your blinders on and you got that tunnel vision going, and you don't see outside of your own spectrum. You don't see outside of the box sometimes, as they say, and you'll miss something as plain as day because you're fixated on something else. It's easy to tell you to broaden your horizon, broaden your views, and create a different perspective. But that's the hard part. It's always easy to do, but almost it can be impossible to execute if you don't, if you're not open and honest about it. You know what I mean? And willing to accept that as something being a flaw or something like that. And yeah, I mean, I always say stuff like, oh man, just, do this, that, but just know this, that it's not easy. And that's part of my own experiences too. And a lot of times talking to myself, and these are things you got to tell yourself. Also at the same time, like in your own head, you're giving yourself advice, Sometimes when somebody tells you something, it might not click too, and you might go somewhere else for advice or some professional help or something, and it might take them to say it to make sense, or maybe it's somebody's saying it in a way that doesn't relate to you, or you don't think it relates to your situation per se, and it doesn't click, and I know that I've been through it so many times, like I'll be like, somebody says something and then you're like, what? This guy does it too, and then they're like, oh no, he said this, and I was like, oh okay, so he's saying as a backhanded slap or something, and it's like, Okay, whatever. It's nobody's perfect. You gotta, before you even say anything about somebody, you gotta look at your own actions, your own, you know, your accept responsibility for your stuff too, instead of taking like a easy way out, and some people, that's what they choose. They choose to only take in the information that best accommodates themselves, and sometimes they might act irrationally. I've been there too. Like you had somebody in your ear telling you so and so whatever, and that just only fuels the fire because they're trying to get you to like fight somebody or something, and that the people do that, and they'll do it in relation to any aspect of life, as long as people allow them to get away with it. You know what I mean? And I'm not saying like beat that person up or something, but I am saying recognize that there's people that are going to feed off your emotion, to try to manipulate how you do stuff, and or you might be just taking their advice because it feeds into that emotion that you have, So maybe they don't mean to do that. Don't know, I don't know everybody. But there are people that do it intentionally. There's people that do it unintentionally, and sometimes that can vary on your relationship with them, and stuff like that, and their comfortability with you, and not only your perspectives, but and how they think you value their perspectives or something, or if they think you can interpret whether they're just joking around or they're, that they're they know that you've not only joke around, but like you express yourself differently, and you allow them to see that inner voice, maybe, where you're just talking like not only out your ass, but sometimes you're like, it's like the inner monologue. Like somebody opens up, they're swearing, they're cursing like a sailor. It could be one of your colored friends, or or one of your white friends. It don't matter, whatever race. All of a sudden, dude got a Boston accent, and they're angry, or they got a res accent. All of a sudden, and they're usually talking normal. It seems normal, but sometimes it's because they're at work that they got to speak differently or something, and then like a res accent comes out of them or something, or a gangster accent. That's some people that used to, live different ways of life that are now trying to turn it around. It's not because they want to be somebody else. They just, they're trying to be not a different person, but they're trying to be better in a certain way. So sometimes that requires them to take on like a different mindset, So in a way, they're kind of different, but they still have that person inside them, right? But they know they have to be professional. They know they have to, help others as much as they can and stuff like that. That they can't be a more selfish, a violent, or a different type of vibe, I guess. You know what I mean? Because you create a vibe in a way. So. Yeah, I mean, there's so many of them out there, right? And I just say stuff that I experience, right? Because I have a lot of buddies that were like in prison, and then they're like trying to turn their lives around, right? And then, when they get pissed, some people pull on their strings, then you see like a whole different person come out, a whole different person emerge, We all have that where you're angry, and then you're like, people are like, dude, you're such like a different person, when you're pissed off, different things come out, you might be the nicest person, but you could be like the meanest angry person in the world, and sometimes you might have a short fuse, depending on what you're going through in life, you know, like you could be somebody in your life that you love and care for could have cancer, and then, you know, it may be something that might not necessarily mean anything negative, but you take it that way, and you unleash some fucking fury on somebody that does not deserve it, right? And sometimes that could be your loved ones, you know. So it's it is what it is. People will see you for who you are. A lot of times it's with people you feel comfortable with, and you know, you watch a lot of these like murder stuff, and it's always like most of the time it's always somebody that they know that they lashed out at, and you know, and then they just overreacted and accidentally killed somebody because they can't control their temper or something, you know. And it's sad. It's not an excuse as to why you hurt somebody. There's never excuse for you not only hurting them, but, you know, in those instances, killing them and stuff like that. And yeah, some I don't know. Sometimes I get angry and I like forget my own strength and stuff, and you know, something goes freaking flying or something, you know, like you throw a bike 35 feet away or something. I don't know, some weird stuff, you know. I don't know. When you're amped up to a certain level, though, your heart rate's so freaking elevated, your blood pressure's skyrocketed. You know, they're more capable of something that they, you know, than they realize, and you know, it takes one instance, because you could be confronting somebody that, you know, their blood rate's not elevated, or they didn't match you in that level, and you know, it hurts more when you're in that state of mind, as opposed to somebody that's in a enraged, not only state of mind but a physical being, right? So yeah, I don't know. I talk about random shit. Sorry, guys. But anyways, I'll see you guys in the next video. This is a longer ramble than I've been releasing lately. But if you appreciate it, please consider hitting that like and subscribe button. I do appreciate it, and hope you guys have a great, not only rest of your weekend, but I'll see you guys Monday and talk about the week or whatever. So hope you guys have a great one. Peace.